Okay, I would have expected, given my frustration and dismay last night when I went to bed, that I would have come right out of the gates with this one, and I would have insisted that we talk about it for a half hour. I have since calmed down a little bit. We're 15 minutes into the show, but here's the point where we talk about the rule change the NFL just has to make, and it's stunning. It's malpractice. It's ongoing malpractice that the NFL hasn't done this. Rodney, one of the original safety rules, years before the NFL was forced by Congress, 15 years ago, just about to the day, forced by Congress to take brain safety seriously, and that triggered an avalanche of health and safety evolutionary changes to the game. Years before that, the original safety rule, you can't grab a guy by the face mask because you might injure his neck. And there used to be two levels of face mask, the incidental 5-yarder and then the 15-yard grab and pull. Now it's all 15. You grab a guy's face mask and the head moves at all, 15 yards. And the problem is, with all the other types of rules that are subject to replay review, the one that has been hiding in plain sight and overlooked, as we have replay assistance and slow the game down here, hang on a second there, the one thing they have yet to make part of the clear and obvious visual evidence replay review system, whether it's the formal review or the replay assist, is when a guy's face mask gets grabbed. And it's easy to see. Think about all the rule changes that they've made where things are subject to replay review and you got to use two different angles to see what happened. You don't need it. You just need one. And you can see, we all saw it when it happened. The human body doesn't fall that way naturally. It falls that way when someone grabs the steel cage on the front of the face mask and pulls the guy down. And I don't know how, even if the official behind the play doesn't see the hand on the face mask, how do you think he's pulling him down to the ground? How do you think it's happening? That's the way the human body moves when someone's face mask gets pulled. So, Rodney, it's overdue. It's not time. It's overdue. And it takes something like this, where it's at the end of a game, it robs the team of a chance to try to tie the game up, and the NFL always wants to see exciting finish. It robbed everyone of a potentially exciting finish. Then you got all the gambling stuff where the NFL is fully in bed with the sports books, making as much money as possible, owners owning pieces of sportsbook companies. You can't pull the plug on the opportunity for the Vikings to win that game, force overtime, and then cover the spread with a field goal in overtime and win the game. You can't do that. You've got to be able to fix that. They need to fix it now. I know they don't like to change rules during the season. They need to fix it now. What if something like that happens in a playoff game? What if something like that happens to decide a Super Bowl? And, we can't review it. We can't review it. It's not, and we know it happened, but sorry, we can't review it. Well, why the hell can't you review it? You review everything else at this point.
Are you done?
I'm done. I feel good now. Thank you. I feel better.
Sounds like a real good Viking fan right there. Yeah, I agree with you, Mike.
I picked the Rams. I was happy. I just think it's bad. It's bad for the game.
Mike, I know you picked the Rams. Would you let me talk?
Go ahead.
Damn. Can I get one word in?
Go ahead.
At the end of the day, I agree with you. It's something that definitely should be on the reviewable list because it happens so often with tackles. And then the referee is standing right there behind the quarterback. That's his aim. And he's sitting there and the quarterback heads get turned like this. And it's like, how could you not see that? That's what you're paid to do. That's what you're zeroing in on. And for the life of me, I didn't understand it. And I'm with you, Mike. That's something that they should be able to touch and say, hey, was that a face mask? Review it. Because once again, you see the official. He's staring there. He's looking at the quarterback. He's looking at the offensive line. He's seeing all the action that's going on in front of him. And he doesn't even make the call. And watch the quarterback head. You could just see his head gets turned. Look at that. I mean, that's an easy call to make. The official has one job to do. He's got to make that call. And I guarantee you, they marked him down. They marked him, gave him some low marks because of that.
And look at the reaction. He knew he did it. If you just watch him afterward, you can throw the flag. That's one of the things we see all the time. The way the players react after something, you know what happened. He reacted like he was guilty, and they still didn't do it. And
that's a big moment in the game. That's a big moment in the game because it's still 1.5, 2 minutes left. You get the automatic first down, you get the yardage, and the offense continues on. You don't know what's going to happen. So, yeah, that's a tough call for the Vikings, or a tough non-call for the Vikings.
Play started on the 5, Rodney, so it would have been 1st and 10 from the 20 with a minute 39 to go. No timeouts, but we've seen offenses move down the field quickly like that. Next thing you know, they're at the 40, then they're at the other 40, then they're at the 30, then they get a few shots at the end zone, and 2-point conversion, we go to overtime, and maybe they win the game. And again, they've begun by using replay assist to do something that I've been arguing for years, because you have the officials out there among the players. You got these guys that are old like me, just trying to stay alive. I don't want to get run over by a guy in full pads and a helmet who's running faster than I can see. I'm using my bare eyes to try to see what's going on. I'm trying to keep from getting trampled, and I'm going to miss some stuff. So they've started using replay assist to help them with the stuff that they miss because it's all happening so quickly. Fine. Then why aren't you using it for this? How have they missed this? And I hope that we hear a report today from somebody, and I emailed Brian McCarthy, the NFL spokesman, last night and said, hey, tell me the competition committee is going to look at this in the offseason, because that's the first step. The report that will come out that the competition committee will have this on the agenda for the things they discuss after the year. They have to do it. And it can affect any team at any time. The Vikings got screwed by it last night. They could benefit from it the next time. Another team, the Rams, might get screwed by it. Maybe that's how they exit the playoffs this year, with an uncalled face mask. It's wrong. There was a playoff game, Rodney, 2009 season. It was Aaron Rodgers' first playoff game. Cardinals, Packers. Went to overtime. And somebody grabbed and yanked Aaron Rodgers' face mask, and he fumbled, and I think it was Carlos Dansby that picked it up and ran in for a touchdown. Game over. It's like, wait a minute, he got face masked. But it's never been reviewable. And maybe they think it's not reviewable. It doesn't need to be reviewable, because who the hell's going to miss something like that? They miss it all the time. And it's an easy fix. And I've heard people say, well, it's a foul. Fouls aren't subject to... Yes, they are. 12 men on the field is. If they're going to pull back the camera to see if a guy got off the field before the snap of the ball, that's tougher to
but all that
figure
is
out
fine
than whether or not
and
guy's
dandy.
face mask got full.
Mike, all that is fine and dandy, but at the end of the day, the Vikings have to play better. That it didn't come down to that just one very play.
Oh, I know.
It's other plays. And then you talk about Justin Jefferson. He has 8 catches. Everybody else has 2 catches. You got to get everybody involved. They didn't do a good job.
Don't disagree.
They didn't do a good job of running the football with Aaron Jones and sticking with it and being consistent with that. The Vikings need to stop this bleeding, because teams are starting to figure out the blitz. They're starting to figure out what they're trying to do on the offensive side of the ball. And when they get really smart, they're going to really start to double team Justin Jefferson, take him away, and force him to go to Naylor and all those other guys. But I like what the Rams did on both offense and defense. They were prepared, and it just looked like Brian Flores and that defense, they were caught off guard. And it started at the beginning of the game. And I thought Sean McVay did a great job of getting the ball out of Matthew Stafford's hands quick. And when that pressure was coming, he was releasing it. It was 12 to 15 yards. He took them right out that blitz. They got intimidated because they know we can't continue to blitz this guy. He's getting rid of the ball so quickly. But that's the advantage of having a guy like Matthew Stafford. Of course, when he's playing with Tyler Davidson and Tutu Atwell and Tyler Johnson and Demarcus Robinson, when you add in those 2 studs, those 2 number 1 receivers, then everything changes for their offense. And I thought we saw that. And then you add in Kyron Williams, his ability to make some plays and find an opening. I think the Rams are a team that not a lot of people want to play. I don't care about the record. It's the coach, it's the quarterback, the experience, and it's this young emerging defense.
And to your point, no NFL game comes down to one moment. A loss is the culmination of this happened, that happened. You didn't get off the field on this 3rd down. You didn't convert that one. There was a play down near the goal line where Jalen Naylor dropped a pass that was right in his hands that would have extended the drive and possibly resulted in a touchdown instead of a field goal. But when you have that final opportunity, here we go, forget about everything else. last chance, drive the field, score a touchdown, get the 2-pointer, we're going to overtime. You get that short-circuited by a bad rule. That's something that's going to cause people to say, wait a minute, why is this rule the way it is? We need to change it. And that's good. If it takes a reaction like that to get the NFL to clean up a mess, then so be it. Let's hear a little bit from both Kevin O'Connell, coach of the Vikings, and Sam Darnold, the quarterback, about that call that everyone in the world saw except the person who could do something about it.
It looked like he got a pretty good amount of face mask there. Not going to get into, the call or no call and all that stuff. It's just, I told our team, officiating and all that stuff, like for us to talk about that, for us to seek comfort in that is not how we're going to respond to this. It's just not going to happen. And I'm going to do the same thing right now. I really don't have a comment on whether it looked like he got a piece of the face mask, but they didn't think so they didn't throw the flag.
The face mask, or it is what it is. It's I thought we could have done a lot to not put ourselves in the situation that we were in. The penalty before that. We just got to continue to play better and not put ourselves in that situation to begin with.
Sam Darnold basically saying what you were saying, Rodney. Look, it shouldn't have come down to that final drive. There is art, but make it sports. I don't know if you're aware of that Twitter account, but this guy's incredible. He finds paintings of yesteryear that look like scenes from sporting events, and yeah, that one, that's a good match there. He's always got at least 2 or 3 a week. But Rodney, here's we heard from the coach and the quarterback. We don't hear from the referee after every game, and I've said for years the referee should do a press conference just like the players and coaches do. They should have to answer questions. They should be accountable. Well, okay, but sometimes they do. When there's a big moment, they do. And here's what Trey Blake said. On that play, the quarterback was facing the opposite direction from me, so I didn't have a good look at it. I didn't have a look. I didn't see the face mask being pulled, obviously. The umpire had players between him and the quarterback. He didn't get a good look at it. He was blocked out as well. That was the thing. We didn't see it. We couldn't call it. We couldn't see it. All the more reason to make it subject to replay review. I rest my case. When the people on the field can't see it, do it.
Zip it for 1 second. I'm actually going to give you a compliment, Mike Florio, because everything that you read right there, I was getting excited. And the first thing I was going to say, Mike, it proves your point right there.
Thank you.
He had no vision. He couldn't see it. He needs help. What's the easiest way to help him? Have the official upstairs, just make the simple play, call it, and it works out better for everyone. You don't have the aftermath like we're talking about it, and it's the right thing to do. So absolutely, you're spot on, Mike Florio. They should review it, and hopefully they take this advice from you.
I'll take that as a win, because I really didn't know how former defensive player Rodney Harrison was going to feel about the possibility of making face mask fouls reviewable, because there's an argument to be made. Hey, they don't see it. It isn't a foul unless they see it. If they don't see it, because I got a feeling there's some stuff Rodney did that people didn't see. If you don't see it, it's not a foul.
Yes, yeah. Underneath those piles, a lot of things happen.
Hey, why don't you want the refs to have to talk every week after the game and be accountable for their mistakes?
Because, fans are mean, and you don't want to open up an official and then all of a sudden people start, looking at his family and threatening his family and sending them emails and doing things to his home. I say keep the officials out of it. Those guys, I see them each and every week, and those guys work hard. Yeah, it's not perfect, but they try their best. They're good people. The NFL, they do a good job of getting some of the best officials in the world. So I wouldn't subject them to the public scrutiny and the criticism, Mike. If anything, they should have one spokesperson for the officials that could come up and really give the overall view on individual games or calls. But for different officials to come up and to put their face and name out there, I would not do that to those guys. I would not expose them to the public like that.
I think it already happens, though. I remember the game between the Steelers and the Colts, 2005 playoffs, when Coach Dungy was in Indy. The Steelers went in and won. And there was a play in that game as the Colts were trying to come back where it looked like Troy Polamalu had an interception. and they ruled that it wasn't. And Pete Morelli, the former referee, I don't know if you remember him. I'm sure he did plenty of your games.
Mm-hmm.
Pete Morelli was a school teacher in California, and the Steelers won the game. The Steelers won the game. And a Steelers fan who was upset about that call threw a brick through his window. So we already know their names. We already know their faces. I think that sometimes if you can get an explanation, because I always worry about the fans who put on the tinfoil hats and think the game is rigged. Like I got emails from people last night, oh, it's fixed, oh, it's fixed. No, they were just incompetent. There was no way to fix it. The game wasn't fixed. They just didn't see it, and there's no replay review to fix it. But people think that. When they get bad calls, they think the game's fixed.
Let me say this about people thinking the game is fixed, because I think it's so disrespectful for fans to think that. These guys work their butts off, and they get graded, they get judged every single day, every single rep, every single practice, every single walkthrough, we're getting graded. So it's not guys out there purposely throwing games or anything like that. Guys are out there working and busting their tails to be able to feed their family and to be able to garner a reputation. You know, it just hurts my heart, because I know how much as players we sacrifice and we go out there, and for the fans to sit back think that it's fixed. It's not fixed, man. We're doing this for our family. We're doing this. This is our lifelong dream. This is something that, you know, we want to put a good product out every single week. But for fans to sit there and think that, man, it's just really unfortunate.
I have a chipmunk running around in my studio.
Are you serious?
Yeah, he just came running by and he turned around and he ran back the other way. We got a chipmunk, so I'm going to have to figure out how to get a chipmunk out of the house. Poor guy. Anyway, I completely lost my train of thought when I heard the pitter-patter of very little feet coming toward me. Yes, there's a chipmunk. Oh, you know what? And I just think it's human nature. In the absence of an explanation, in the absence of understanding as to why and how bad calls happen, I think that people just go right there. I remember when my son was playing high school football, and there'd be a bad call against his team. And I'd have one of the dads next to me saying, oh, they're against us. They don't like Catholics. They're against us because it was a Catholic school. They don't like Italians. They don't like Catholics. It's like, no, they're just not very good. They're not very good. They don't see what's happening. It's a mistake. It's incompetence. It's not a conspiracy. But when something like what happened last night occurs, that's when you have people who will say the fix is in. I want to ask you one thing. Now,
Mike, hold on 1 second.
Go ahead. You talk some, and I'll see if the chipmunk's back. Oh, there it is. All right.
I guess my point is this: as opposed to each individual official coming after the game, explaining it, I was just saying having one guy, having one mouth for the National Football League officials, so he can come up every week and address all the so-called, you know, crazy calls or curious calls out there, you know, and I think that should work. Can you find him? How big is he?
He's small. He's a chipmunk, but I hear him. He's running around. Poor guy.
I hate rodents. He's lucky he's not in my house. He probably would have got shot.
well, you have to be a good shot. He's about that big. But and I always say, like, for a mouse, you know, like this whole question of what kind of trap do you use? I mean, we have humane mouse traps. I want to get the guy out of here. We'll do it after the show. Hi, it's Mike Florio. Thanks for watching PFT on YouTube. Hit subscribe for the latest news and analysis from Pro Football Talk.